You're listening to The World at 8 with Lynn Moser. The World at 8, the number one in nationalist news.
UK News, today, the 18th of November. The death toll of British soldiers killed after the Labour government sent British troops to Afghanistan has now reached a staggering 388 so far. A brave British soldier has been killed in Afghanistan. Lance Corporal Peter Eustace was killed in the Nar-e-Sarraj Helmand province area of Afghanistan. Peter, who was from Dingle in the south of Liverpool, was killed by an improvised explosion whilst on patrol. Peter's girlfriend and family are said to be devastated. He was aged just 25 years old and served with the 2nd Battalion the Rifles. He was described as the bedrock of his platoon by his fellow servicemen. Peter Eustace was described by loved ones as loved by all. 2 more British soldiers have been killed in Afghanistan. The 2 soldiers were hit by a blast were from the Queen's Dragoons Guards who were serving in Helmand province. Both soldiers will be named once both families are informed. The soldiers were part of a reconnaissance squadron. York University has been given a grant of over £780,000 by an Arts and Humanities Research Council to find out how British people treated immigrants in the Middle Ages. The database, which will cover 80,000 immigrants who came to Britain between 1330 and 1550, will be used in a way to try to get British people to accept multiculturalism. The database is being set up by York University to question people's ethnicity and identify in a deliberate left-wing attempt to stop British people calling themselves British. One BNP spokesman said, "The left wing will stop at nothing by brainwashing the younger generation in their Marxist-infested universities." He also added, "There is a deliberate government agenda to wipe the British out in Britain. The indigenous people of Britain are being morally kicked out of their own country." A report has now come out by officials that 25% of all births in Britain are to immigrant mothers. With the amount of immigrants compared to the British people, the demographics are putting the future of British people in danger of being extinct. Euronews. There is now a real sense of panic among the Europhiles. Nick Griffin writes in the first of his dispatches from the belly of the beast reports from Brussels and Strasbourg. At the debate this week on economic governance, it became clearer than ever that neither the Commission nor the pro-union MEPs have the faintest clue about how to stop the runaway train of financial and economic disaster. Speaker after speaker made plaintive pleas for action before it is too late, but no one had any suggestions that would actually help. This is, of course, not surprising, because the euro was always a project based on ideological dogma rather than economic practicality. This means that the answer must come from the world of economic reality and cannot come from the project or its supporters. There are several workable solutions. Either the euro should be abandoned, allowing the new national currencies to rise or fall relative to each other until financial order is restored, or Germany should leave the euro so it becomes a weaker currency and so helps nations like Greece and Spain become more competitive. In either case, the other key part of the long-term solution is for concerted effort by sovereign nation states to get a grip on the international banks and their racket of creating money out of nothing and charging us all interest to borrow it. The return of the power of credit creation to sovereign national states is essential, but because it is a nationalist answer to the crisis, the Europhiles aren't interested, and because they're in the pockets of the bankers, they won't even consider this solution at a European level. So the crisis will grind on. My advice to listeners, don't book any holidays for next year. Wait, because the odds are that the whole of southern Europe is going to implode, with Greece, Italy, Spain and perhaps even France being forced out of the Eurozone. If that happens, the new drachma in particular will crash to a level at which, even in these very hard times, a holiday in Greece will be thoroughly affordable. That's good for your pocket and also good for the poor Greeks, who are being crucified on a barbed wire cross of EU stars. They don't deserve and shouldn't get our tax money to help them out of the euro quagmire. but a good holiday in exchange for a small amount of much needed stable currency is a very fair deal for everyone. World news. A man has been arrested and brought to court in the United States for trying to assassinate President Barack Obama. The man, named as Oscar Ortega Hernandez, is accused of firing an assault rifle at the White House windows. The president and his wife were not in the White House at the time of the shooting. The accused is said to have called Barack Obama the Antichrist and the devil. One of the bullets hit the outside wall and the second hit the bulletproof glass behind the outer window. License plates of the accused were traced and a rifle and used bullet cartridges were found along with a scope. Oscar Ortega Hernandez will face life in prison if a court system in Washington finds him guilty. Syria has agreed to allow an observer team from the Arab League into Syria. Hundreds of observers will go into Syria to report what the Arab League calls the bloodshed. The Syrian president is under attack by defectors from his own army and from pressure from other nations. French and Turkish meetings have been held over the crisis in Syria, but the Syrian leader has said not to be interested. The death toll over the Syrian problem has risen to over 3,500. And finally, a woman who had a violent cough coughed up a Q-tip that had been lodged up her nose for 12 years. The woman, named as Chantal Faye, was complaining for years of health problems like pain in the side of her face and flu-like symptoms. It was caused by the Q entering into her cheekbone through her mouth in an accident when a friend hugged her. The tip came off the Q and worked its way in time through her nasal passage. You have been listening to The World at 8. I am Lynn Mozar, and I wish all nationalists a happy and a safe weekend.
In South Australia I was bound, heave away, haul away. South Australia, round Cape Horn, we're bound for South Australia. Heave away, you rolling kings, heave away, haul away. Heave away, I hear you sing, bound for South Australia. When I went out one morning fair, heave away, haul away. Was there I met Miss Nancy Blair, bound for South Australia. Heave away, you rolling kings, heave away, haul away. Heave away, I hear you sing, we're bound for South Australia. Took Miss Nancy by the hand, heave away, haul away. Took her round and round the town, we're bound for South Australia. Heave away, you rolling kings, heave away, haul away. Heave away, I hear you sing, we're bound for South Australia. One thing that grieves my mind, heave away, haul away. It's leaving Nancy Blair behind, bound for South Australia. Heave away, you rolling kings, heave away, haul away. Heave away, I hear you sing, we're bound for South Australia. If you go around Cape Horn, heave away, haul away. You're gonna wish you were never born, bound for South Australia. Heave away, you rolling kings, heave away, haul away. Heave away, I hear you sing, we're bound for South Australia. In South Australia I was bound, heave away, haul away. South Australia, round Cape Horn, bound for South Australia. Heave away, you rolling kings, heave away, haul away. Heave away, I hear you sing, we're bound for South Australia. Heave away, you rolling kings, heave away, haul away. Heave away, I hear you sing, we're bound for South Australia.